Allah sometimes warns you in sleep before a decision destroys your future. Late at night, when the world becomes quiet, something strange can happen to the human heart. You close your eyes expecting rest, but instead, you see something that disturbs you. A scene, a moment, a warning that feels too clear to ignore. And when you wake up, the feeling stays. Your chest feels heavy. Your mind keeps returning to the same images. And you ask yourself a question many believers quietly ask: why did I see this? But understand something important. Allah does not only guide you through obvious moments. He does not only guide you through sermons or conversations. Sometimes He guides you through interruption. Because there are moments when you are walking toward a decision that looks harmless, a relationship, a habit, a choice that feels normal. But Allah sees what your heart cannot yet see. He sees where that road leads, the regret waiting ahead, the pain hiding inside something that currently looks attractive. And because Allah is merciful, He sometimes allows a believer to see a warning before the mistake becomes real. A dream that unsettles you, a dream that shows consequences, a dream that refuses to disappear from your memory. Not every dream carries meaning, but when a dream shakes your heart deeply, it deserves reflection, because the believer understands something many people forget. Sometimes, the quietest warnings come while you are asleep, and the scholars of Islam often reminded believers that the heart of a sincere person is never completely abandoned, even when you are confused, even when you are about to make a mistake. Allah can still reach you, sometimes through a reminder you hear during the day, sometimes through a verse that suddenly touches your heart, and sometimes through a moment in the night when your soul becomes quiet enough to receive a warning, because while you sleep, the noise of the world disappears. Your pride becomes silent, your excuses fade, and in that stillness, your heart becomes more open to truth. So when a dream leaves you unsettled, do not rush to dismiss it as meaningless. Pause for a moment. Reflect honestly on your life. Ask yourself if there is a decision you are about to make that may carry consequences you have not yet considered. Because sometimes Allah allows you to see a glimpse of danger, not to frighten you, but to save you before you walk too far down the wrong path. Most dreams are noise, but some are warnings your soul cannot ignore. Most of the dreams you see in your life will carry no special meaning. They are simply fragments of your day, pieces of conversations, thoughts you had before sleeping, images your mind collected and rearranged while your body rested. Islam teaches us something very balanced about dreams. Not every dream is a message. Not every image you see in sleep deserves interpretation. In fact, many dreams are simply the mind processing what it experienced during the day. But sometimes, a dream arrives that feels very different. You wake up and the images remain clear, not fading like ordinary dreams, not dissolving after a few minutes. Instead, they stay with you. Hours pass, and you still remember every detail. The emotions inside the dream feel real. The message feels heavy, and your heart keeps returning to it again and again. This is the kind of dream that causes a believer to pause, because true dreams often carry a feeling that ordinary dreams do not. They awaken the heart. They push you toward reflection, toward questioning your actions, toward thinking about your relationship with Allah. But there is something deeper that many people do not realize. The condition of your heart affects what you experience in sleep. When a heart is constantly filled with distraction, when the mind spends its days drowning in endless entertainment, when the soul rarely remembers Allah, dreams become chaotic, disconnected, meaningless. But when a believer tries to keep their heart aware of Allah, even if they struggle, even if they are imperfect, their soul becomes more sensitive, more receptive, and sometimes Allah allows that sensitive heart to witness something during sleep that becomes a quiet message, not a loud announcement, not a frightening command, but a gentle interruption that forces you to think. And the believer understands something important. Not every dream should control your actions, but the dreams that awaken your conscience should never be ignored. When Allah shows you something in a dream, your future may be standing at a crossroad. Right now, your life is moving in a direction. Every decision you make is slowly shaping your future. The friendships you choose, the habits you allow into your routine, the paths you decide to follow. Each step is leading somewhere, but there is something every human being must remember. You can see today, you can even imagine tomorrow, but the unseen future belongs only to Allah. There are paths that look beautiful in the beginning, a relationship that feels exciting, an opportunity that promises success, a lifestyle that appears comfortable. From your perspective, everything seems positive, but Allah sees what you cannot see. He sees the regret hidden behind certain decisions. He sees the spiritual damage that may come from certain environments. He sees the arrogance that success may plant inside a heart that is not careful. And sometimes, before you reach that moment, Allah warns you, not with a voice, not with something dramatic, but through a dream that interrupts your peace. You may see yourself falling, losing something valuable, running from danger, or witnessing a scene that leaves your heart deeply unsettled. The dream may not always be literal. It may appear in symbols, moments that seem strange but powerful. But the message is often simple. Pause. Look again at the direction you are walking, because sometimes a dream is not predicting the future. It is protecting you from it. It is Allah giving you a moment to reconsider your path before your next step becomes harder to reverse. And this is one of the quiet mercies of Allah. He does not always wait until a person suffers the consequences of their actions. Sometimes He gives a warning first, a small moment of awareness, a scene in the night that disturbs your comfort, a reminder that your choices matter more than you realize. And the believer who understands this does something very simple after such a dream. They reflect. They examine their life honestly. They ask Allah for guidance. Because when Allah allows a warning to reach your heart, ignoring it may cost you the future that Allah was trying to protect. A heart that receives warnings in sleep is a heart Allah is still protecting. There is a spiritual condition that is far more dangerous than making mistakes. It is when the heart stops reacting to them. When a person sins but feels no discomfort, when reminders reach them, but the heart remains unmoved, when distance from Allah grows, but the soul feels calm. This is not peace. This is numbness. And spiritual numbness is one of the most frightening states a person can reach, because when the heart becomes numb, warnings no longer reach it. Advice no longer affects it. Even powerful reminders begin to feel ordinary. But when Allah still sends warnings to your heart, that means something very important. It means your heart is still alive. Because Allah does not warn a heart that He has abandoned. He warns the heart He still wants to guide. Think about this carefully. When you wake up from a dream that unsettles you, when your chest feels tight and your mind begins questioning your actions, when you suddenly start reflecting about the direction of your life, that moment is not random. It is a sign that Allah is still protecting you. He is not exposing you to shame you. He is not frightening you to harm you. He is alerting you because He does not want you to continue down a path that may hurt your faith. Allah could allow you to continue your mistakes in complete silence. Many people live their lives this way. They move further and further away from Allah, and nothing inside them reacts anymore. But when your heart still feels disturbed by a warning, when your soul refuses to ignore what you saw in the night, that disturbance is actually a form of mercy. It means Allah has not closed the door of guidance for you. He is still inviting you to pause, still inviting you to reflect, still inviting you to return to Him before your mistakes grow heavier. And the believer who understands this does not treat these moments lightly. They see them as a gift, because a heart that still receives warnings is a heart Allah is still protecting. The most dangerous moment is when you see the warning and still ignore it. But there is a moment where many people lose the benefit of a warning. They wake up from the dream. Their heart feels shaken. The images remain clear. For a few minutes, or maybe even a few hours, they begin to reflect. They think about their actions. They wonder if Allah is trying to show them something. And in that moment, the heart becomes soft, open, ready to change. But then life slowly returns to its normal rhythm. The phone lights up, messages arrive, work begins, distractions fill the day, and slowly the feeling fades. The dream becomes distant, the reflection disappears, and the person continues living exactly the same way as before. This is where the real danger begins, because warnings only benefit the heart that responds to them. A reminder ignored today may not return tomorrow. Every time a person ignores a warning, the heart becomes slightly harder. The first warning shakes you deeply, the second warning touches you less, and eventually, the heart stops reacting altogether. This is how spiritual blindness slowly develops. Not suddenly, but through small moments of ignored guidance. But the sincere believer reacts differently. They do not rush to dismiss what they experienced. They pause. They reflect honestly. They ask themselves difficult questions. Is there a habit in my life that needs to stop? Is there a relationship pulling me away from Allah? Is there a path I am walking that may damage my faith? Because the believer understands something very powerful. A warning is not a punishment. It is an opportunity to change before consequences arrive, an opportunity to correct your direction before the road becomes harder to leave. And sometimes a single moment of reflection after a warning in the night can change the entire direction of your life. Some dreams are not random. They are Allah showing you what your eyes could not see. There are moments in life when the truth is standing directly in front of you, but your heart refuses to look at it. Not because you are evil, not because you want to disobey Allah, but because the truth can sometimes be uncomfortable. You may know deep inside that a certain habit is slowly damaging your discipline. You may feel that a certain friendship is pulling you further away from your faith. You may sense that a path you are walking is slowly changing the person you are becoming. But while you are awake, the mind is very good at protecting its comfort. You justify things. You delay thinking about them. You tell yourself that everything is still under control. And because life moves quickly, it becomes easy to ignore the quiet signals your heart is sending you. But sleep changes something important. When you fall asleep, the noise of the world disappears. The conversations stop. The distractions fade. The pride that defends your actions becomes quiet. And in that silence, the soul sometimes becomes more honest. This is why some dreams feel like mirrors. They show you things you were avoiding during the day. They reveal consequences your mind tried not to imagine. They expose dangers hidden inside something that felt harmless. You may see yourself falling from a height. You may see something valuable slipping away from your hands. You may see yourself running from something frightening. Or you may witness a moment that feels symbolic, but deeply unsettling. And when you wake up, the feeling stays. You cannot explain it clearly, but something inside you knows the dream was pointing towards something real in your life. This is why the believer treats these moments with humility. Not every dream is meaningful, but when a dream awakens your conscience, it deserves reflection, because Allah knows the human heart very well. Sometimes a person will not listen when the truth is spoken directly, but they will listen when the truth reaches them in a moment of quiet vulnerability. And sleep is one of those moments. a place where the soul may briefly see what the waking mind tried to hide. The night sometimes reveals truths your daylight life is hiding from you. The night has always carried a special place in the life of a believer. It is a time when the world slows down, when the noise of daily life becomes softer, when the soul finally has space to breathe. During the day, your mind is busy. Responsibilities demand your attention. People speak around you. Messages arrive constantly. Your thoughts jump from one task to another, and inside all that movement, it becomes difficult to hear the quiet voice of your heart. But when the night arrives, something changes. The distractions fade, the world becomes calmer, and your inner world becomes louder. This is why many of the most sincere acts of worship happen at night. The night prayer, the private dua, the quiet moments when a believer speaks to Allah without anyone else listening. And sometimes, the night reveals truths in another way. Through dreams, you may see something that leaves your heart uneasy, a scene that feels symbolic, a moment that seems simple, yet strangely powerful. It may not make sense immediately, but the feeling stays with you, a sense that something in your life deserves attention, something that your daily routine was hiding from you. Because when you are constantly surrounded by noise, reflection becomes rare. But when the night becomes silent, truth becomes easier to hear. This is why sincere believers do not mock meaningful dreams. They do not treat them like entertainment. They treat them with humility and balance. They do not obsess over every detail, but they also do not ignore the moments that awaken their conscience. Because sometimes the night becomes a mirror, a place where Allah allows you to see something about your life that daylight kept hidden. And when a believer receives such a moment, they respond with reflection. They ask Allah for guidance. They examine their actions honestly, because they understand something very important. The night does not only give you rest. Sometimes it gives you clarity. If Allah warns you in your sleep, it may be His mercy calling you back. There are many ways Allah can guide a person. Sometimes guidance comes through the Quran. You open a page, and the words feel like they were meant specifically for your situation. Sometimes guidance comes through a reminder, a lecture, a conversation, a sentence you hear at the exact moment your heart needed it. But sometimes, guidance comes in a quieter way. In the darkness of the night, while the world is asleep, you close your eyes expecting nothing more than rest. But instead, you see something that shakes your heart, a moment that disturbs your comfort, a scene that leaves you thinking long after you wake up. And in that moment, you must understand something important. The purpose of a warning is not to terrify you. It is to wake you up, because Allah does not enjoy punishing His servants. Allah loves guiding them. He loves bringing them back when they begin drifting too far away. Sometimes a person is moving slowly toward a mistake without realizing it. Step by step, decision by decision. Nothing seems dangerous at first, but the distance between the heart and Allah quietly grows. And before that distance becomes too large, Allah sometimes sends a warning, not publicly, not in a way that embarrasses you, but privately, a moment between you and your Lord, a dream that interrupts your peace, a feeling that tells you something in your life needs attention. And the most important part of that moment is what you do next. Do you ignore it and continue the same path? Or do you pause and return to Allah? Because the believer understands something powerful. A warning is not a punishment, it is mercy. Many people continue walking toward their mistakes without ever being stopped, without ever being warned, without ever feeling that moment of awareness. But if Allah allows your heart to be shaken, if He allows you to see something that makes you reflect, that moment is a gift, a quiet invitation, an opportunity to return before the consequences of your actions arrive. So, if you ever wake up from a dream that pushes your heart toward reflection, do not rush to dismiss it. Turn to Allah. Pray. Ask for guidance. Ask for protection from mistakes you cannot yet see, because sometimes the most powerful form of mercy arrives in silence. A moment in the night when Allah calls your heart back to Him before it is too late.